Copa fam, what's going on? Eli here. Yes, before you start, it really is me. Despite whatever you call this growing on my face, please don't judge. We all deal with quarantine in different ways, and I've gone for the castaway lifestyle. And despite this sad state of affairs that has become my lounge room and my life, there is a positive side to it, and that is that I've watched everything.
I do not.
No, but seriously, everything. It's quite sad. My remote control doesn't work anymore because of it. But hey, at least now you benefit, because now I know every piece of footballing content you need to see on Netflix, and I'm going to give you guys the inside scoop. So stick with me, and let's transport ourselves to happier, simpler times. These are the best footballing series that you can stream straight away. First up, it's Maradona in Mexico, and as you can imagine, it's a pretty sedate affair. Now look, chances are you've seen the documentary everyone's talking about, The Last Dance on Netflix. It's that incredible behind-the-scenes tell-all about Michael Jordan and that iconic Bulls team of the 90s. Now, if football had to have an equivalent of Michael Jordan, let's be honest, we can all agree it has to be Diego Armando Maradona, a magician on the pitch and a bona fide renegade off it. He reminded us of this just recently at the last World Cup. Whilst we all know about Maradona's antics in the crowd that day, what a lot of you might not know is that only a month or two after that, he went on and became manager of second division side Dorados, based in Mexico, Culiacan, Mexico, in fact, a place less known for its love of football and more for its role in the country's ongoing narcotic war.
Una pregunta para el Club Dorados. ¿Cómo le van a hacer con respecto a las conductas nocivas que tiene el señor? Y es como van a decir, oye, mandaron un diabético a una dulcería, ¿no?
But what transpires, honestly, you have to see to believe, because somehow, against all odds, Maradona, the city and the club all end up complementing each other, and El Gran Pez, or the Big Fish as the club are nicknamed, go from the bottom of the table and rocket into the playoffs and then the promotion final. What happens at the end? I'll let you find out. Honestly, the amount of times I had to pause this program because I genuinely couldn't believe what was unfolding in front of the cameras. It was ridiculous, but none more so than one particular fixture. I'm not going to let you know which one it is, but they lose, I'll tell you that much, and Maradona, he doesn't take it well. The crowd's been picking on him the whole game, and post-match, he loses it and decides to literally take them all on himself. Expect passion, expect fireworks, expect drama. But as always with Diego Maradona, expect the unexpected. Needless to say, this one is an absolute must-watch. Oh, Sunderland. Where did it all go wrong?
I might be off my face in here, but I still want to play for Sunderland. The rest of them don't. The rest of them don't.
Now here's the deal. In 2017, Sunderland, having been relegated from the Premier League, decide to open their doors to a camera crew for an exclusive fly-on-the-wall documentary series in the hope that capturing their expected return to the top flight in glossy high definition will somehow attract potential investors.
And that team was absolutely terrible today. One tried, absolutely pathetic. We're sick of it.
But here's the thing, they didn't go up. In fact, they went down to the third division for the first time in 50 years. And best believe, it's all captured in that glossy high definition. Now, whilst every footballing follow doc offers its fair share of insights, season 1 of Sunderland Till I Die, it takes things to a whole new level. You're talking a drink-driving captain, 3 different managers, an ownership change, a transfer day scramble, an away end that attacks the camera crew. You've got a fan offering out the coach, which leads to one of the greatest lines in football documentary history.
You calling me a I'm a married man with 6 kids.
Yes?
And so, what does season 2 offer? More of the same for the Maccas.
Why is it never us, chaps, celebrating? Why is it never us?
Oh, and just because for season 2 we're in an even lower division, don't think this makes for any less entertainment. In fact, it arguably provides more. No more so than from the new leadership team tasked with guiding this sinking ship back to port. Stuart Donald and Charlie Method are like a David Brand-esque duo who you genuinely sense have the club's best interest at heart, but just seem to consistently get it wrong at every turn in the most cringe-inducing manners. Take, for instance, Red Trouser Hoarder Charlie, giving his 2 cents on how to lift the energy in the stadium by somehow getting rid of the anthem the fans have welcomed the team out to for decades and replacing it with that generic dance track you've heard on every player highlights reel on YouTube.
You've got to try and build people up, and you've got to try and get the atmosphere building through a track. If you try and think about the atmosphere that Chris and I agree that we're trying to create, we want it to be rocking in there and a little bit mad, a little bit like Sunderland fans take pride in the fact this place is going to be a bit noisier, a bit more in your face.
One thing I would say is that it doesn't matter what you play unless you get a new PA system.
But seriously though, this is really honest filmmaking that digs deep into the psyche of a struggling community. And what hits hardest in all of it is the unshakable support of the fans. Their enthusiasm, unwavering support and love for their club speaks volumes about the people in the northeast of England and the passion they hold for the game.
It doesn't matter how bad it is. I supported Sunderland when they went down last time in the 3rd division, and I'll be supporting them this time when they're in League One.
They've been hurt before and they know they're going to be hurt again. And in true Sunderland fashion, even with the renewed sense of optimism that comes with new ownership, it soon comes crashing down. Now, this next recommendation is a little different in that it's not inherently a football-specific series. But like Sunderland Till I Die, Losers is all about the less glamorous aspects in the world of sport. I mean, the clue is in the title.
Anybody who goes to a football match expecting Torquay to win is an idiot, I think.
You see, the premise of Losers is to give a platform and celebrate the stories of the players, teams and athletes who never quite achieved the success they were aiming for in their respective sports. It's kind of like if that famous saying goes, no one ever remembers who came second. Well, Losers is here to fix that. And for those who came 3rd and 4th and 5th, and basically just a whole bunch of losers, you know, giving them a platform, stuff like that.
Torquay is a beautiful place. It's not called the English Riviera for nothing. And a lot of people who've seen both the French Riviera and the English Riviera will tell you that Torquay is at least as good.
That's got to be a joke, right? So for this story, we're going all the way back to the 86-87 season of the 4th Division, where Torquay United are once again in another relegation battle, but this time the consequences are much more daunting.
1987 was the first year of automatic relegation. In other words, if you finished bottom, you went down.
The club's future was at stake, as relegation would have meant dropping out of the Football League and very likely losing their full-time status. 2-0 down at half-time on the final day of the season, and in all honesty, Torquay United, they look dead and buried, even though a point would still be enough. But then what happens next, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in football.
As I was chasing the ball towards the touchline, I was running at 90 degrees straight at the policeman with the police dog.
I caught out of the corner of my left eye a player coming towards the sideline, and the next thing I knew, the ball came over the line past us, followed closely by Jim McNichol.
Dogs obviously saw me running straight towards the policeman.
The dog whipped round and bit Jim in the top of his leg.
This is a how-to when it comes to football filmmaking. Firstly, it's beautifully shot, but then there's the master interviewee, Dave Thomas, who's so likable and knowledgeable. He's got you wrapped up, obsessed with the story within a few minutes. And don't even get me started on the archive footage, which is just unbelievable. This film has so much character. It's top drawer and it's what you should be watching. Now, the next recommendation for me, another follow doc, and this time a club I know all too well.
This is the best. Forget everything. Forget Rome, Milan, Liverpool.
Boca Juniors Confidential is a 4-part series following what is arguably South America's biggest football club as they enter the 2018 season in pursuit of a 33rd league title alongside the third coming of their prodigal son Carlos Tevez. Now, Boca Juniors Confidential doesn't cover a particularly dramatic or controversial season, but what fascinated me about this series was just how much access the filmmakers were given. I mean, it's called Boca Juniors Confidential for a reason, where from the get-go, you're thrown behind the scenes, getting access to every facet of how a club of Boca's caliber runs to satisfy and meet the demands of its unhealthily obsessed fan base. And that's not an unfair exaggeration. I mean, check out this interview with this fan whose life is so dictated by the club, he even managed to connect his wedding to Boca Juniors through the iconic number 12 that's so famously linked to the club.
Me casé el 12 del 12 a las 12:12. El día del hincha de Boca.
And you're even in with Boca's famous, or some might say infamous, supporter group La Doce as they walk you around the back streets of the surrounding Boca neighborhood, eventually revealing their secret location of where they store their drums and banners. Or what about this footage of Tevez's unveiling, where 65,000 people rocked up on a midweek night to welcome him back with a tifo that covered 3 tiers. Look, I already know about Boca Juniors from my time filming Derby Days Buenos Aires. They're arguably the most epic episode we've ever made due to the incredible scenes we captured at the Bombonera Stadium. But even we couldn't get close to some of the shots Boca Juniors Confidential has captured, most notably due to their incredible matchday drone content where the unrivaled limbs and colors of a heaving Bombonera have been captured from the heavens to give off this cinematic ambience and guaranteed goosebumps every time a goal celebration or chant comes around. Lastly, it's my wildcard pick, Inhuman Resources, or Dérapage as it's known in its native France. Now, does it feature football? No. Does it have anything to do with football? No. So where am I going with this? The king himself, Eric Cantona, as a lead in a 6-part gritty crime thriller from France? Sign me up. So there we have it. Just some of the incredible series on hand to help you get your football fix during lockdown. Make sure you check the description below for links to all the titles discussed and some of our other favorites from the Netflix football collection. Oh, and don't think that's the end of the list. Next time, I've got the best football in movies and documentaries you have to see. So make sure you join me for that one because you're going to want to see him. And also, I'm quite lonely here and it'd be nice for the company.
The life that we lead is a lonely road until you find somebody you can build that home with. A lot of nonsense get washed away. Take all of your